What you really meant to say was that the dirty, rotten, corpulent, kleptocratic dictatorship of what they call Saudi Arabia has to go. And one day, God willing, it will. Let's go to Sweden, talk to Aziz on the subject of Bahrain. Aziz, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, George. Always pleasure to talk to you.
Sir. Thank you.
And may God bless you and give you a long, prosperous life.
Thank you, sir.
You see, George, first, deeply, I really want to send my condolences to the family of the scientist and to the whole Iranian nation. You see, the Iranian nation is not a military superpower. It is an ideological superpower. Many people miss to see this point. And you cannot kill scientists to think that you'll bring down an ideological superpower. That is just very easy to see if you're an intelligent person. Another very interesting thing is what now we've seen what the barbarics and the uncivilized and what the Americans soldiers have done to the Afghans. We've seen this several times, and imagine what is going behind.
Imagine what we don't see. Imagine what they don't video.
Exactly, what we don't see. This is what that has come to the world. Can you imagine of what we don't see? Oh, it's unbelievable. Abu Ghraib. You see, Abu Ghraib has gone back to the history, and now every now and then we are being reminded. This is not only American soldiers. This is a systematic failure of the education, of the military training they are given, because they behave like animals. What can you say?
That's what soldiers of occupation always act like. They didn't do this because they were Americans. They did it because they were occupiers. The Israeli soldiers, who behave in very similar ways towards the occupied Palestinian people, do not do so because they are Israelis, still less because they're Jews. They do it because they are occupiers. The British did it in Malaysia, in India, in Africa, in the Middle East, when they were occupiers. If you occupy somebody else's land and arrogate to yourself the right to govern them and rule them, ipso facto, those people are less than you. And you can treat them differently to what you would hope that other people would treat you. It's disgusting. It has sent a powerful message around the world. It will redouble the determination of the Afghan people, whether supporters of the Taliban or not, to drive the foreign occupiers out of their land. How could it be otherwise? To imagine otherwise would be to imagine that the Afghans are less than us. And they're not. Let's talk to Abrar in the United Kingdom on the same subject. Abrar, welcome to the show.
Hello, George. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Go ahead, sir.
I want to talk about the American soldiers urinating on poor Afghans' dead bodies. I also noted the comment of their general that this is not consistent with the American values or their
Sadly, it's entirely consistent with what have become America's values.
Yeah, this is exactly what I was going to say, that if I look back at Abu Ghraib and other occurrences like this, Americans are turning out to be the most inhumane nation in the world. And their reputation that I have seen myself declining in my long life has been dwindling, and I think it's now rock bottom. I think I have not got, and I'm sure any human being watching this will not have words to show his or her disgust at what these Americans are doing. Even animals...
It's a very good point, Abrar, but let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Why isn't Newt Gingrich under arrest this evening? He openly, on television, called for the murder of Iranian academics. And today, yet another one was murdered. This is a crime, surely. Incitement to murder unarmed, civilian, academic people. This is surely a crime in America, no?
Well, indeed. But you see, George, this is another example of the so-called American values. Can I, before I leave you, just make one comment? No disrespect to Mark. I welcomed his comment, American soldiers being depressed and harassed in Afghanistan and wanting to leave. And he somehow indirectly, I'm sure inadvertently, tried to justify this act, this heinous act. And I think I can only say to Mark, please try to see it with your eyes wide open in the manner it should be seen.
Well, thanks for that. Thanks for that, Abrar. In fairness to Mark, I don't think he in any way sought to justify it. I think that he sought to contextualize it. I don't, as I told him, accept the contextualization that he made. I don't believe that the people who did that were crying for help. I think they were demonstrating their brute, animalistic instincts and their superior firepower over apparently unarmed, barefoot little boys from Afghanistan. They, with their powerful weapons, their body armor, their radios in their ear, the ability to call in helicopter gunships or even F-16 fighter bombers to kill a ragged, barefoot, native insurrection, even if those boys were part of that insurrection. But all they actually succeeded in demonstrating was how low it is possible for an occupation force to sink. And they will have, in killing those 3 boys and then urinating on them, they will have ensured 3,000, maybe 300,000 new fighters who will rise up against them and drive them from their land. Of that, I have no doubt. Let's stay in London now, talk to Nasir on the subject of the Iranian scientists. Nasir, welcome to the show.
Hello, George. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on your show. It's a great show.
Thank you.
Brilliant. I'm a big fan of you as well.
Thanks.
I saw you in London in Gaza Walk and etc.
Thank you.
Anyway, the work, the scientists in Iran, that's the work of the Zionists. That's the work of, when I said the Zionists, in the history, when you see how they created America, they created it with atrocities, with killing, bullying, and you name it.
That's what they did that's how they founded their state.
Of course. And
that's what they did to the Native American people.
Well, if you look at Israel, normally they should be illegal to pronounce the word of Israel because it's an illegal country. And now, even if they kill the scientists, Iran is well developed. God is with them anyway. And long live Iran and the Muslim world.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Nasir. I hope the Iranian people will surround their scientists in their hundreds, run alongside their car, take them to work, protect them, defend them, look after them. These men were murdered not because of any party political view that they might have, but because there are forces out there who don't want Iran to be a strong and developed country, who want Iran to be weak and disunited, the better for others, foreigners, to rule them and steal their things. Listen to what I'm saying. Let's go to the comment wall and read a couple of emails. Remember, we want your point of view. And I have started now the job of reading the emails that don't get broadcast, so keep writing to me. So basically, the BBC drums up support to invade Iran. The Murdoch-controlled media gets people ready for their governments to invade Iraq. They kill millions of people. They urinate on dead bodies. They terrorize scientists. And British radio stations like LBC were saying last night that Iran is dangerous. And yet it's Press TV that gets fined. Does Ofcom live in the real world? Jackie, I wish I'd said that. Absolutely brilliant and perfectly succinctly put Let's take one more email on the comment wall. This from Ben in Chicago. Newt Gingrich is a man hoping to be the next US president. When he was asked how the US should deal with Iran, he said, taking out their scientists. All of it covertly, all of it deniable. He should be subpoenaed before the court for inciting state terrorism. His all of it deniable statement should be written on billions of bits of paper and blown across Western cities so that when the US government denies committing its next crime, we can remember the bits of paper, close our eyes and grin. Or weep, Ben, more likely. A brilliant, brilliant email. Thank you very much indeed. Let's go to the United Arab Emirates and talk to our friend Mohammed there about Iran. Mohammed, welcome to the show.
Salaam alaikum, Joel.
Alaikum salam. Nice to hear from you. Go ahead.
It was very sorrow news that I heard about the scientist was killed. Again, one more scientist was killed in past 2 years. I believe IAEA, United Nations, Human Rights Watchdog, whatever we are listening every day in BBC, in Press TV, in CNN, is just a puppet of West. It's just a game of US and Zionist. I mean, you can see, like, they've been to Iran, they took scientist name and they published scientist name in front of press, in front of United States, in front of Mossad and
it was a hit list,
British agencies.
It was a hit list, a murder list.
Yeah, exactly,
Murder Incorporated were given the names, and Murder Incorporated is doing the killing.
Yeah. And in regards to the soldiers, whatever they did, urinated on dead bodies. Actually, they are not soldiers. If you will say these are American soldiers, I would not say soldiers. They are like invaders. They are like mercenaries. I mean, it is not new. Nothing is surprising like what they are doing today in Afghanistan. In Iraq, they did the same thing. In Abu Ghraib prison, whatever
and they did
saw,
the same thing in they did the same thing in Vietnam. They did the same thing in Korea. And the British did the same thing in Kenya. And the British did the same thing in Malaya. And the British did the same thing in Aden, in what is now the United Yemen, state of Yemen, and so on. These are the actions of occupation armies. That's how occupations always end. And the blood of those that they slay will fructify a new generation of people who will fight them. Any fool knows that. Any student of history knows that. Every time they shed the blood of these people in this way, they are ensuring that the whirlwind, sowing the dragon's teeth, they shall reap the whirlwind. Of that I have no doubt. Mohammed, give my regards to all my dear friends in the United Arab Emirates. Let's go to Pakistan, talk to Sakina on the same subject. Sakina, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Go ahead.
I wanted to talk about the American soldiers, more like mercenaries actually. They are drummed. You know, anyone who has to fight a war as they are fighting, they have to be indoctrinated to hate.
Yes,
and
pumped up with superiority and inferiority complexes, yes.
Yes, hate has no boundaries. And that's what they are doing. They cannot see the right from the wrong. They just hate.
Yes.
They are so stupid. They just hate.
And of course, the point I was making to Mark, I think it was earlier, Sakina, this war is going to end on exactly the terms that it could have ended on at any time in the last decade. They are now negotiating it in Qatar. Sakina, we have lost. Let's return to the UK and talk to Bob.